The best.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the delegation of Uzbekistan. We have here with us Mr. Jasur Tadiev, the director of Uz Invest. Also Mr. Mizrayev, who is the head of the credit at Asaka Bank. And we have Mr. Giza Tulin, I hope I'm not butchering all the names, the assistant chairman, the National Tourism Company, and
Mr. Mirza Mahmoud.
Jurabek. Mirza Mahmoud.
Mr. Mizrayev, okay.
He's representing oil and gas and chemical industry.
Okay, so, and we have the representative of the oil and gas company. Uzbekistan is a transport and communications hub for the Central Asian region, with a number of transnational corporations having already chosen the country as the regional headquarters. Uzbekistan has also a very large internal market of some 27 million people, with GDP of $10.4 billion. The country offers easy access to the entire Silk Road market of over 142 million people. The investment guide that was prepared actually in 2009, with the assistance of Uz Invest and UNCTAD, highlights some important opportunities in sectors and markets which actually right now, presently, are underserved, such as banking, telecommunications, so very important investment opportunities in those sectors. Also in the guide, we can see that there are some highlights for the potential in agrobusiness, and also there is a niche export. There are some niche export markets, such as fruits, flowers, in the agro-processing sector. The labor force of Uzbekistan benefits from high literacy, almost 100%, and is young, dynamic, and highly trainable. So today we will have presentations on Uzbekistan, and would like to invite Mr. Jasur Tadiev, the director of Uz Invest, the National Investment Promotion Agency, to make his presentation. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Nadia. Dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants, let me start my presentation. I would like to briefly introduce the investment environment of Uzbekistan and the opportunities on Uzbek market for the foreign investors. So why the Uzbekistan? Our main advantage is the political and macroeconomic stability, rich raw material base, energy advantage, advantage of the geographical location, diversified industrial base, scientific and intellectual capacity of the country, as well as the legal base and system of preferences of foreign investors. Let me shortly stop one by one. So despite of the financial crisis, as you see on the graph, for the last 3 years, our GDP growth was on the level not less than 8%. And the main important thing that we achieved the structural shift in the structure of the GDP. If 10 years ago, in the GDP structure, the share of the industry was mere as the 13%. Nowadays, it consists of more than 24%. Due to active investment policy, our industrial growth rate is on the level of 8 and 3%. So active foreign trade, despite of the crisis, the export growth rate for the last year consists of more than 10%. As you can see on this slides, we have the gradual growth dynamic of our trade turnover, including our export. So inflation rate is steadily on the low level, as well as the 7.4, 7.3% for the last several years. So our next advantage is the access to the rich raw material base. Nowadays, in Uzbekistan, the more than 2,800 deposits of the mineral resources are discovered. So it's including the gold, uranium, the tungsten, zinc, and many others. We are the energy self-sufficient country. So we are in top 10 for the oil, for the uranium, for the gold. We are fully cover our demand for electricity as well. We are the export of electricity to the neighboring countries, including Afghanistan. Our next advantage is the central geographical location. As you can see on the slide, we are in a close proximity to the main markets, including the CIS markets, which is the population of 300 million people. The main aspect main advantage of this market is that we are in free trade agreement within the CIS countries. It means the product produced in Uzbekistan could be freely, on a duty-free base, exported to all CIS countries. We are the only in Asia, the country who produce the aircraft, automobiles, agricultural machinery, building material. We are the leading in the region for building machineries, food processing, for the textile, and many other industries. The next advantage is the well-educated resources. Nowadays, in Uzbekistan, there are 65 universities and institutions. More than 300 students are studied nowadays. The branch international universities like the Moscow State University, Westminster University, the Singapore Business School, as well as the Turin Polytechnic Institution are operating nowadays in Uzbekistan. The basic guarantees and rights of foreign investors are provided by the current legislation. Foreign investors are given the following guarantees: the stable legislation under the 10 years. Foreign investment and other foreign assets are not subject to legalization. Foreign investors' income derived in Uzbekistan can be reinvested into Uzbekistan or used in any other way at the discretion of the foreign investors. Measures for improving the investment environment which are taken in our country have significantly increased the volume of the FDIs attracted to our country for the last 10 years. As you can see on the graph, if in the beginning of our independence, the share of the foreign FDIs in the total investment was nearly to zero. Nowadays, it consists 83%. Last year, we attracted almost $3 billion of FDIs from foreign countries. This is the success stories. It means that there are on the market more than 4,000 enterprises with the foreign investment are operating. Among them, the very well-known TMCs like the GM, General Motors, the Mercedes-Benz, Isuzu, the MAN, and many others. So now let me stop on shortly of the prospects for corporations. Which industries and which directions could be the more attractive for foreign investors? Among them, the oil and gas industry. Later, my colleague will more detailedly make a curious with the project in that area. Chemical industry, as well as mineral resources. Electronics. The textile sector, we are the 5th largest producer of cotton and cotton yarn in the world. The precise machinery. In Uzbekistan, there are more than 400,000 SMBs, small and medium businesses. Their share in GDP is more than 50%, and they could be the buyers for the machinery and equipment produced in Uzbekistan. Building materials, construction materials. food processing industry. Our capacity is we're producing annually more than 10 million fruits and vegetables. Our weak side is that the processing is insufficient in Uzbekistan. It means we are mostly exporting at fresh. Pharmaceutical industry. The population of Uzbekistan is the biggest in Central Asia. It's almost 30 million. And it could be the very good market for producing any kind of the pharmaceutical products. The newly created free industrial economic zone could be one of another opportunities for foreign investors. The foreign business entities registered in the free industrial economic zone are exempted from paying any tax depending on the amount of the investment, starting from 3 years up to starting from 7 years up to 25 years. So we have also the very good opportunities in tourism. My colleague will let you know the more detail later, the opportunities and projects in tourism sector. So now let me finalize my presentation and give a panel for my colleagues who will detailedly inform you about the investment project in their own industries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tagiev. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Mirza Mahmudov, Director of the National Oil Gas Company.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take too much of your time because it's becoming late and I also need to catch up later flight to further destination. So I would like briefly introduce you oil and gas industry of Uzbekistan as well as the chemical industry of Uzbekistan. And if there will be any questions related to the presentation, I would be happy to answer them. Anyway, our oil and gas industry is represented by national oil and gas company Uzbekneftgaz, which is 100% state-owned. And this is a company which is vertically integrated, which unites more than 120 enterprises and employs more than 120,000 people. We involved in all types of oil and gas operations, starting from exploration, drilling, production, processing, transportation, and supply of all oil and gas products to all end users. Also, we involved in construction of oil and gas, upstream and downstream project, as well as producing of machinery equipment for oil and gas and chemical industry. At the present time, we have 232 fields operated by our company, under which 103 under development already, 60 prepared for development, and 69 are where exploration is undergoing. We have a very wide gas transportation network, which consists of 250,000 kilometers of gas pipeline system, and we supply natural gas to all end users within the country, to industry, to population, as well we export to our neighboring countries, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and southern part of Kazakhstan, and also to Europe via Russia in the northern direction. And recently there has been built a transit pipeline through Uzbekistan from Turkmenistan to China, and so there is an opportunity to supply natural gas in the eastern direction as well. We have two refineries, Bukhara refinery built in 1997 and the Fergana refinery, which is in operation for more than 50 years. And here I would like to mention that Uzbekistan always was striving to bring the latest technologies, introduce modernize the industry, and Bukhara refinery and the Shurtan gas chemical complex, which is shown on this slide, could be an example when these two plants were built after independence, and we were the only country in the whole territory of former Soviet Union which built the new refinery based on the latest technologies from zero, and the first to operate a gas chemical complex which extracts ethane and produces polyethylene from natural gas. And one thing about the human resources here, it's a great pleasure and honor for me to mention that by the time when Shurtan gas chemical complex was completed in 2001, it was built by the consortium led by ABB. At that time, there was put as an EPC contractor as for usual practice, they want to operate by the seconded personnel 3 years of initial operation. However, from the day one, since 2001, this plant is 100% operated by Uzbek specialists and Uzbek engineers. And the average age of the specialists in this complex is about 25 years. We, as an oil and gas company, also there is no Ministry for Oil and Gas, so we act on behalf of the government as authorized body for issues related to hydrocarbons, and therefore we participate in exploration agreements and production sharing agreements with different national and state-owned and other companies. Here you can see some of them. We have more than 20 joint ventures with foreign companies involved in all types of operations. It's production, exploration, providing services, as well as producing lubricants and transit of gas. Being we're producing natural gas, we are in the top 10 in the world for natural gas production. Our government always tries to maximum utilize our natural gas to produce value-added products. And considering that, we started another project for gas chemical complex, and we already established joint venture with the Korean consortium. And within the next 2 months, we're planning to finalize the EPC contracts as well as financial closure. It will be 100% project financing mechanism. Another, together with the South African Sasol and the Malaysian Petronas, we are doing a project for producing of synthetic liquefied fuels using the GTL process. And it's an honor to mention that it will be also the only plant in the whole territory of former Soviet Union to use such technology. And this project is open for investors to participate in the financing scheme. And we right now, our financial advisor BNP Paribas, we already distributed PIM of the project, and we're working to attract the financing. We have already shareholding structure formalized. We have a joint venture with Sasol and Petronas. Also, in the free industrial zone in Navai, which was mentioned by my previous colleague, we started implementing several projects on producing pipes, equipment for CNG usage, as well as to convert the cars to use the CNG. What we propose to our partners, it's application of the latest technologies and gas processing and distribution, development of alternative energy sources such as biogas, applying energy conservation technologies, using enhanced oil recovery mechanism. We have some fields which are under production for more than 50 years. And I would just like to inform that oil production in Uzbekistan started in 1885, more than 125 years ago. So there are a lot of fields available to apply the EOR mechanism. Also financing of new investment projects and participation in CDM projects, as well as utilization of associated gases, CO2 capture, which was discussed a lot in the first half of the day. Projects in free industrial zone, Navai, and also the suppliers to participate in bids for supply of their equipment, services, and goods, because a lot of projects being implemented in our industry. One of the projects very interesting for us would be production and assembly of electronic gas meters, and because we have a big program to modernize our gas transportation network, because having 95% of population gasified, we're intending to apply the modern energy saving and cost-effective and produce such kind of gas meters in Uzbekistan. Also, since there is an automobile industry developed very rapidly in Uzbekistan, we propose to use the local feedstock of polymers produced in Uzbekistan and produce the components for the cars. And also, I would like to present you briefly about our chemical industry, which is Uzkimyosanoat, also 100% state-owned company, which specialized in producing the fertilizers, special types of chemicals, solvents, and minerals. Here you can see their activity types, their subsidiaries, and how they're structured. So here the main productions: organic, the polymers, the chemicals, the pesticides, chemical fibers, and etc. Chemical industry also being paid a lot of attention by the government, and there is a special decree according to which in 2011-2015 there are planned to implement about 30 investment projects, total worth of about $3 billion US. Here the key partners of chemical industry with whom they already started implementing several investment projects, which are on different stages, some on the FEED stage, some on the feasibility study. What projects are proposed for the potential partners? This production of dimethyl ether with the capacity of 100,000 tons. You know, it's a substitute. It can be used additional or as a substitute of diesel fuel, and it's environmentally friendly than the regular diesel. Production of ammonia and further other types. Uzbekistan at this present time produces more than 1 million tons of ammonia products, and about 30% of which is being exported. And considering the demand in the world for food and is increasing, there is a growing demand for the fertilizers as well. So we think this would be a very perspective project to discuss. Production of bleaches to different types, such as hydrogen peroxide and sodium percarbonate, with total capacity about 12,000 tons per annum. It would be interesting because there is, as already mentioned, having more than 28 million people, there is a huge market not only in Uzbekistan, but also in the neighboring countries, especially with CIS countries with whom we have a free trade zone. Also next, there is PVC production. I would like to mention at the present time there is no PVC production in Central Asian region, and there is a very huge demand for PVC in all types of industry. And what we're proposing is to establish the PVC production on existing acetylene production. So already half of the infrastructure and the feedstock is available, ready. Thank you for your attention. And here below are the contacts of Uskimyosanaat and of Uzbekneftegas. And if there will be questions, I will be happy to answer them later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Mirzayev, the head of credit at Asaka Bank. Asaka Bank.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I also will be very short. My colleagues already talked about the development of the economy and heavy industry. I would like to divide my presentation shortly into three stages. So the first part will be regarding the banking sector of Uzbekistan. The second part is regarding the potential of opportunity of the National Bank of Uzbekistan, which are managing the companies. And the third part will be regarding the Asaka Bank related companies. Today in Uzbekistan, the banking system is divided in two levels. The first level is the Central Bank of Uzbekistan, which has 14 regional branches. And the second level is commercial banks. As of today, we have 31 commercial banks, which 3 of them state banks, and joint stock banks 13, private banks 10, and banks with foreign investment participation are 5. Also, non-financial organizations, as you see on the presentation, they are credit unions, microcredit organizations, insurance companies, and pawn shops. Figures on banking system, as you see here, total capitals are growing year by year if you compare with the previous year. and total assets the same direction, and deposits and total credit portfolios. It says that the economic reforms and financial reforms is going on in Uzbekistan. So the major facts about the NBU. So I will not. So you may see it on the presentation.